So, you're a philosopher?
Yes. 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 I think very deeply. I think very deeply. I think very deeply. I think very deeply.
In about 4 seconds, a teacher will begin to speak.
I think very deeply.
Let us begin.
What is up, good peoples? This is Dave Johnson, host of Welcome to the Madhouse. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. We're going to be coming to you every Sunday night at 10 o'clock on YouTube. Now, it's kind of retarded to give like an airtime for YouTube because you can watch the motherfucker anytime you get ready to. But just in case you want to be the first one to see it, the shit's going to come out on Sunday evenings at 10 o'clock. If you want to follow us, we're out there on Facebook. You can go to our fan page, which is facebook.com/ WTT Madhouse. I think it's either WTT Madhouse or it might be Welcome to the Madhouse. Check either one if you just happen to want to follow us. Or go to my page and just link the motherfucker, Dave Johnson. Just find me. Or you can also, find us at Twitter, follow us at Twitter. I don't know how this shit goes. I don't keep up with this shit. My guy, my partner in SEI, he takes care of all this shit. I just make the content. He makes the shit beautiful. So I think it's WTT Madhouse at Twitter, or however that shit works. I'm 44 today. At 44, you ain't supposed to keep up with all that social media bullshit. Snapchat, Instagram, all of that shit. I don't follow none of that shit. As a matter of fact, I jumped off Facebook for almost a year. I got tired of this shit. You keep getting all these damn links and whatnot to babies dying and you know, either that or some shit on Housewives of Atlanta. I'm like, hey, the fuck? When are we gonna talk about some real shit? So my nigga say, well, when you gonna start a show about some real shit? I say, well, I'm gonna start a show about some real shit. And so we ended up with Welcome to the Madhouse. So that's what's going on with that. Like I said, so follow us out on Twitter. Follow us at I've been drinking, motherfuckers. But keep up with us on Facebook. How's that? Holla at a player. Email me or some shit. Call a nigga. I'm 44. Tell you what, call me. 777-9311. That's how you can keep up with a motherfucker out there in the world. Listen, okay, so tonight we are discussing, you know, one of my favorite topics, which is weed, marijuana. Now, the good citizens of Colorado and Washington voted in and decriminalized marijuana for recreational use. Now, back in 96, California had already legalized marijuana for medical use, and then was followed by, I want to say it was like 20 or 21 other states, including the District of Columbia, which also allowed for medical marijuana use. But Colorado and Washington allowed for recreational use. And as a matter of fact, this past January 1st at 8 o'clock in the morning, Colorado sold its first piece of weed to somebody, some lucky person. That motherfucker should have took a picture. If he didn't take a picture, he's crazy, because he is the first, or she is the first person in American history to legally purchase marijuana to go home and get fucked up with it. So I hope they took a picture. I hope they were smart enough to take a picture, and I hope the remaining states go ahead and follow that, because this is unprecedented. This is unprecedented. And the federal government, what set all this in motion, because Colorado came out, Washington came out, they was both like, okay, well, you know, since they came out with the medical dispensaries, the federal government been fucking with folks. The folks who own the dispensaries have been fined. They've been put in jail. Some of them motherfuckers have jail time. Even though it's legal in the states, the federal government was sweeping in on these motherfuckers and taking them to jail. So, let me say this too, while I'm here. I curse a lot. If cursing is something that offends you, if it just grieves your soul, change the motherfucking channel. This probably is not the show for you. Check CNN to get this same information, and I'm sure they'll give it to you in a nice, clean, Christian way. But me, I curse quite a bit. I'm the son of Leonard Dwight Johnson. Leonard Dwight Johnson curses quite a bit. I curse quite a bit. I picked up his ability to drink, cook, and curse. That's the gift he gave me. Thank you, Leonard Dwight Johnson. So, Attorney General Eric Holder, see, Colorado and Washington, what they didn't want what would be a PR nightmare is for them to go ahead and legalize weed for recreational use. And then on the first day, when CNN is there and NBC is there and all them folks out there ready to record the first sale of recreational marijuana, here come the motherfucking feds jumping out the black sedans with their black suits on, ready to take your black ass on off to jail. Or actually, it's a whole lot of white folks. I don't know if you've been out on YouTube or if you've watched like the news channels that talk about this great big celebration of the fact that weed has been made legal for recreational use. It's a whole lot of white folks out there. It's white folks fighting for this weed. So they wanted to make sure, they wanted to know where the federal government stood, because it would be a PR nightmare for them to go on ahead and legalize this shit and open them dispensaries, and boom, here come the motherfucking feds. But the White House came out and said, we're gonna essentially stand down. You couldn't sell it to kids, of course. You couldn't, it couldn't travel across state lines, a whole bunch of shit like that. But for the most part, if you're 21 years old and you're gonna take that shit indoors, take it indoors, take it inside your house and smoke it, you could possess up to an ounce of marijuana. I need you all to appreciate, you're talking about a federal government that for the last 70 years has aggressively gone after marijuana users, marijuana growers, marijuana sellers for over 70 years. And suddenly the federal government has said, we're going to try this social experiment out. We going to see. We're going to see. We're going to take a look at what happens in Washington. We're going to take a look at what happens in Colorado. And we're going to see. Why? That's my question. Why? Dude. First of all, weed is exactly that. It's a weed. It's a plant. It's a plant that grows in the wild. Grows everywhere. You can plant a weed seed, it will grow everywhere. I want to say outside of the Antarctic Circle, weed can thrive anywhere. It's a weed. It wasn't until 1920-something that they decided to make this plant illegal that it even got a name. Based on the research I done gone into, there was a ton of reasons as to why. Some folks speculate that during that time we were going into the Great Depression. You had a whole lot of Caucasiatic, let's call them white folks, had a whole lot of white folks that were standing in the bread lines sharing that time with Mexican immigrants. Mexican immigrants were here to help build America, okay? Mexican immigrants were smoking this plant, this weed, right? Black folks were smoking it, white folks smoking it, a lot of folks were smoking it, but the Mexican immigrants were smoking this plant. They were known for smoking this plant. So these folks decided that the Mexican immigrants had to go because they couldn't feed the good white folks and feed the Mexicans. So they had to attach some kind of stigma to them. That stigma became this plant. Like I said, the plant didn't even have a name. The plant did not have a name. It was just this weed that grew and grew everywhere. So they started all this propaganda saying that black folks, because anytime you want to scare good white people, you say wild black folks. So these wild black folks were going into town with these high off marijuana Mexicans and was raping good white women. That ain't no bullshit. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the propaganda that they started. That's what certain things say. Other folks say that there was this great big conspiracy with the fact that they went on ahead and decided to legalize alcohol, and that became a direct competitor with marijuana. There are folks who say folks in the tobacco industry. They say that there's folks in the textile industry because hemp was such a volatile product. But long story short, okay, do the research yourself. Don't trust Dave Johnson because Dave been drinking. But long story short, they decided that marijuana had to go. So they presented the shit to Congress, okay? Like I said, at the time, marijuana was not the name attached to it. It was just this weed. They introduced the shit to Congress. The way they got it around Congress was this. Machine guns were huge for gangsters. Gangsters, the police could not keep up with what the gangsters were doing because they had these fucking Tommy guns, right? So what they did was they introduced this bill to make machine guns illegal. How did they do that? Well, they said you could not possess a machine gun unless you had a machine gun stamp. Okay? You had to have this stamp issued by the federal government that said it was okay for you to possess a machine gun. Okay? Here was the problem. There was no such thing as a machine gun stamp. Therefore, being in the possession of this machine gun made it illegal. You were a criminal simply by possessing this because you didn't have this stamp and the fucking stamp did not even exist. And that shit went to the Supreme Court and it passed. It passed. They passed that shit. Okay? So, what Hearst did after he went on this huge propaganda campaign, okay, tried to get the states individually to criminalize weed, make weed a criminal offense. Some of the states were going forward, not all of them were going forward. He needed this huge push from Congress to make it a federal crime. Congress wasn't interested, okay, in making this weed a crime. So, what this motherfucker did was change the name in the bill to marijuana. They don't even know what the fuck marijuana is. But he uses the same tactic that they used to make machine guns illegal by creating a marijuana stamp, where in order for you to possess marijuana, you had to have a marijuana stamp, even though the marijuana stamp did not exist. Okay? Supreme Court went on ahead and approved it under the stipulations that there at least had to be an existence of this marijuana stamp. Okay, had to be an existence of this stamp. Okay, so what they did was they released the stamp in a very limited fashion. Okay, very limited edition weed stamp, right? Okay, well, here's the problem with that. In order for you to get the stamp, you had to prove that you first possessed marijuana. So if you walked in with the marijuana to get the stamp, you were already breaking the fucking law. Thereby making marijuana an illegal substance. Now, like I said, there's a whole lot of speculation, whole lot of conspiracy theories as to why this plant was made illegal. But I can say this. Based on the research that I saw in just putting this story together, just to bring it to you, there are properties to marijuana that I can understand now why they would be concerned about it being legal. I don't know that they knew it then. Maybe they did know it then. But I can certainly say now that there are a whole lot of interests that do not want to see what is happening in Washington and what is happening in Colorado happening in the remainder of the 50 states. The alcohol industry. First of all of those ads that you saw on weed makes you stupid, weed makes you lazy, weed takes away your drive and your willingness to be successful and to be a better person. Guess who funded them shits? The alcohol industry. The alcohol industry funded those motherfucking commercials. You think Philip Morris and the tobacco industry wants to see weed legalized? What about the pharmaceutical industry? I got YouTube videos, and I'm going to make sure that I include the links either on my, go to my Facebook fan page. And I should, as a matter of fact, I know I've got those videos out there. Go to the Facebook fan page. And when you see the medical use, first of all, when you talk about weed, you're talking about two different properties of weed. You're talking about the THC, which is what gets you high as a kite. And then you're talking about CBD. I think it's CBD. I think it's CBD. But that's the portion of it that the medical industry is interested in. And dude, I've got some videos out there that will blow your mind. There's a little girl named Charlotte Fiji. Charlotte suffered from some kind of condition that forced this little girl to have over 100 seizures a day. And like I said, the video's out on my fan page. It's difficult to watch. I'll be honest with you. If you've got children, it's difficult to watch. This little girl had over 100 seizures a day. She was being woke up from her sleep, having a seizure. Every day. Her parents took her to every doctor you can imagine. Doctors told her, we've exhausted everything medically that we can do. Girl's 6 years old. As a parent, taken to the nth degree, you're going to try everything to save your kids. They said, let's try marijuana. You got to see this video. You got to see this video. There was this little boy, and I'm trying to think because he was on the second half of the video. And again, you got to see what the application of this plant, not this narcotic, not this dangerous drug, what this plant grows naturally, 3/4 of the world, can do for people. Reduces tumor size in cancer patients. And yet they still have it listed as a Schedule I narcotic. Which means according to your federal government, it has absolutely no medical value whatsoever. That's what a Schedule I is. When they say that you're talking about a drug that is a Schedule I drug, it is a narcotic that has absolutely no medical value. Watch these videos. Watch how these folks' lives are changed by using marijuana. And I want to say it was in its pure form. It was in like a little pasty form or whatever, because it looked like it was a little syringe or whatever that they kind of put on a spoon. And the mother was clear to explain, this has been tested to death. They know exactly how much to give her. There's another video I was watching. This guy, he suffered from some kind of condition. His diaphragm would do something. It was almost like a constant hiccup that he couldn't stop all day long. Just bang, bang, bang. He said it was excruciatingly painful. He said he tried everything. I want to say him and his father said he was on so many medications, he was just doped out of his mind. And they tried marijuana. You got to see the video. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Watch the videos. Watch the videos. The hemp that comes from marijuana. The strength off of it. I want to say there was a video I was watching. Dude built the carriage of the car, the outside of the car, completely built out of hemp. They got video of folks taking a sledgehammer to this fucking car, couldn't destroy it, couldn't dent it, couldn't nothing. And what about Philip Morris? What about Philip Morris? One of the highest I've ever been in my entire life was smoking 2 Newports. Legal, taxed. I can get me a box. Let me get that Newport. You gotta pop that motherfucker when you get it. You gotta pop that shit. Make sure you put all the tobacco down, pack that shit into the cigarette. Two of them motherfuckers, high as a goddamn kite. I want to say the average cigarette, they said, has 265 motherfucking chemicals other than tobacco in it. Other than tobacco in it. But marijuana is a Schedule I drug. Medical properties. The hemp has all kinds of potential. Not to mention the high. The high. Totally different than alcohol. And less destructive. You know, in the entire recorded history of mankind, I mean the entire recorded history. So if we're talking about the entire recorded history of mankind, you're talking what? Hundreds of trillions of people? And I know my guys listening to the show right now. Dave, hundreds of trillions. See, this is what happens when you have geniuses as friends. He's listening to hundreds of trillions. You're being a little exaggerative. I'm just going to make a word up. You're being exaggerative. But when you think about all of the people in the recorded history of mankind with this dangerous Schedule I drug, and trust me, from the time that they made the shit a dangerous drug in 1920, like I said, it was just a fucking plant. It was just a weed. But in the entire recorded history of mankind, how many people you think have died from this dangerous Schedule I drug? 100 million? 100 million people? That seems about a fair number for a dangerous drug over the history, the recorded history of mankind. 100 million? Nope. What about 1 million? What about 1 million? 1 million people in the recorded history of mankind. No? 100,000? That seems a little low. 0 people have OD'd on this dangerous narcotic. 0. Not one recorded death from marijuana. Not one. Not one. But it's a Schedule I drug. You know what else is a Schedule I drug? Heroin. Or what we like to call up here on the west side, heroin. Heroin is a Schedule I drug. Heroin. PCP. Schedule I drug. You trying to tell me that marijuana is as dangerous as heroin and PCP? Cocaine is a Schedule II drug. Amphetamines is a Schedule II drug. So your federal government is trying to tell you that weed is more dangerous and more addictive and more destructive than crack and crystal meth. Does that make any fucking sense to anybody? How many folks you know smoke crack or use cocaine? How many folks you know smoke crystal meth or use heroin or PCP? You don't. You know why? Because they drug addicts. But if I ask you to list how many motherfuckers you know that smoke weed, shit, nigga, I'd be here all afternoon. It's not a drug. It's not a narcotic. It's not dangerous. It's a fucking plant with huge value. huge value. So much so that it makes me wonder, back in 1920 something, if these motherfuckers didn't realize that. It just makes you wonder. They've built an entire industry on the oppression of marijuana. What is the legalization of marijuana going to do to the prison system? What's it going to do? What's it going to do to Philip Morris? If I got the option between smoking this fucking Newport with 200 and some odd goddamn chemicals in it, what's it going to do to the alcohol industry? I'm sitting here right now, I got me a cup of some shit, and I'm thinking to myself, if I had some marijuana and it was legal, it wouldn't even be a fucking choice. I wouldn't think twice about it. Marijuana, alcohol doesn't stand a fucking chance. It doesn't stand a chance. Don't nobody wake up the next day and say, oh shit, I'm hung the fuck over. I smoked too much weed. Who the fuck says that? And if you're talking about a plant that is reducing the size of tumors, if you're talking about a plant that is bringing relief and cure to patients where medicine has failed, if you're talking about a plant that can do what 20 different prescriptions can't do, what you think the motherfuckers in the pharmaceutical industry are going to do? I don't know if you were paying attention to the opening, but my man said, if this shit goes through just in Colorado and Washington, just them two states, that shit is going to cost the drug cartel over $1 billion. With a B. To me, that's where my concern is. Because these folks ain't going to take this shit sitting down. They ain't going to take this shit sitting down. They can go ahead and push all the damn ads that talk about, oh, selling weed is going to put $40 million into building public schools. But my fear is, what are these folks who have been making so much money, what are they going to do? What are they going to, like I said in the beginning of this, having the feds descend on the good people of Colorado and Washington as they're coming out of the dispensaries and being arrested would be a PR nightmare. You know what else would be a PR nightmare? To have that motherfucking dispensary blow up. That would be a PR nightmare. That would be a nightmare. To have somebody roll up in there and shoot up all the employees. Now, I'm talking about the drug cartels, but shit, I'm also talking about the pharmaceutical industries, and I'm talking about the motherfucking alcohol industries, and I'm talking about Philip Morris and all them motherfuckers, and I'm talking about the hemp and textile industry. I'm talking about all these motherfuckers that are extremely fearful of what the fuck happens. Of what the fuck happens after January 1st of this year. Medical marijuana is controlled. You can control that. You need a license, or not a license, but you need a prescription from 2 different doctors just to get your marijuana. We're talking about Joe Blow, average Joe Blow, weed smoker, saying, no, ain't no need for me to go to the packaged liquor store and go get me a fifth of nothing. Ain't no need for me to go to the gas station and get me a pack of nothing. Ain't no need for me to go to CVS or Walgreens and fill out this prescription for nothing. This plant got me straight. And since I ain't buying it from Lil Willie off the corner, then we don't get to arrest Lil Willie and send his ass to jail for 20 fucking years. So now the guard ain't making no money. Now the prison system ain't making no money. Now the DEA agent ain't making no money. That's my concern. That's my concern. And then, of course, my other question comes down to, why now? And anytime you have a question about the why, follow the money. Follow the money. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And them deciding to legalize marijuana don't make sense. So somebody making some dollars. That motherfucker say these 2 states in a year could cost the drug cartels $1 billion. And they want to counter that by saying, oh, well, 40 million is going to schools. That's bad math. Okay? That's bad math. Somebody take $100 from me, and a month later I ain't got my 100 back. I'm coming after their ass. You talking about $1 billion industry off 2 states. But hey, I don't want to do what the propaganda machine in this country, this world does very well, which is fear-mongering. I don't want to scare the shit out of people. This could be a very positive thing. This could be a thing that is finally moving towards a direction of right. Marijuana is a plant. And it's got very positive values to it. Very good things that can happen. I'm glad for Colorado. I'm glad for Washington. My guy lives in Colorado, lives in Denver. My man Jake. And I don't know if anything's changed over the last 15 years, but if it had to do with legalizing marijuana, I'm sure he was right out there in the forefront. This is a good thing. I pray for positivity. I pray that this works out. Keep this in mind. I asked so many people when I told them what this show was about. My first show out there, when I told them what it was about, it was so many people that said, yeah, hell yeah, legalize marijuana. I'm with that. And what was funny is most of them didn't smoke. Most of them didn't smoke, but they certainly supported the initiative. They understood that it was a ridiculous thing. And I hope after tonight, you understand that it is not only ridiculous, but it's manipulated and it's been propagandized, I guess if that's a word, to make you believe that it was something evil and a narcotic. It's a plant. And it's got very positive values. I want to thank everybody for joining me this evening. Thank you so much. The Madhouse will be returning, as I said, not this Sunday, because today is Friday, my birthday. I wanted to go ahead and do that first show on my birthday, so it won't be coming out this Sunday. But the following Sunday, the Madhouse will be returning with the next show. We'll be talking about the porn industry. When I was trying to figure out what we were going to do the first 2 shows, the first couple of shows on, I said I wanted to do weed and porn. It's 2 things that I like and understand. And my guy was like, okay, well, what are you going to do the shows after that? And I'm like, well, hold on, wait a minute. I'm basking in the glory of weed and porn right now. So, so we're going to start there. But thank you all so much for tuning in. And I'll see you all next Sunday. Peace.